In this video, we'll take a look at what osmosis is and how it can affect cells. Osmosis is just a special case of diffusion, and is the diffusion of specifically water molecules. As you might remember from our previous video, diffusion is just the spreading out of particles from an area of higher concentration to an area of lower concentration. If you're not quite comfortable with what diffusion is, then it's probably worth taking a few moments to watch our video on that first. We'll put a link down below. Now notice the similarity to the definition for osmosis, which says, osmosis is the movement of water molecules across a partially permeable membrane from a region of higher water concentration to a region of lower water concentration. So, as you can see, osmosis is really just a special term for the diffusion of water. To clear up any confusion, when we say water concentration, all we really mean is the amount of water as compared to the other molecules, such as sugars or salts, that are dissolved in that water. We call these dissolved molecules solutes. For example, let's take two beakers, each with 100 milliliters of water in them. As you can see, we're going to think of the water as particles, but don't worry, this is just so that it's easier to understand the difference in concentration. We'll then add 1 gram of sugar and other solutes to the left beaker, and 3 grams of solutes to the right beaker. The one on the right will have a higher concentration of solutes than the one on the left, which means that it must have a lower concentration of water. Remember that it's not the volume of water, but rather the proportion of water to solutes that determines its concentration. Now, if we joined these beakers together, with only a partially permeable membrane to separate them, the water would then diffuse from the left beaker to the right beaker by osmosis. And this osmosis would continue until both beakers had the same concentration of water. One important place that we see osmosis is across cell membranes. The cytoplasm within cells generally has a relatively high concentration of solutes, because of all the sugars and salts that the cell needs to survive. This means that it has a relatively low concentration of water, and so water from the outside of the cell will diffuse into the cell by osmosis. But if too much water diffuses into the cell, then it might burst like a balloon. If it's a plant cell though, and there is too much water, the cell wall prevents it from bursting, and instead we say that it's turgid. On the other hand, if we place the cell in a very sugary solution, the water concentration outside the cell is likely to be lower than inside. And if this caused too much water to leave the cell, it may become dehydrated. Ugh. And we would then refer to it as flaccid. And that's it for now. If you enjoyed it, then please give us a like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.